Hi, this is Tim. Welcome to Tim Can Cook. So today we're going to cook tuna noodle casserole. Now this is not your mother's tuna noodle casserole where she would dump noodles, a can of soup, a can of tuna fish in a casserole dish and throw it in the oven. This goes a little bit past that. So Jesse, this is for you. Jesse reached out to me and said, can you make homemade tuna noodle casserole? And of course we can. So here we go. 8 ounces of noodles. Now these noodles are these little curlicue kind. You can use flat noodles, but 8 ounces of noodles, a half a cup of butter divided, 8 ounces of sliced mushrooms. These are buttons. You can use creminis or baby bellas if you'd like. Buttons are classic in this recipe. 3 5-ounce cans of tuna packed in water that's been drained and flaked. 2 cups of milk, a couple of medium onions finely diced, a cup of corn, canned corn. This is actually I think a 16-ounce can drained. A cup of frozen peas, just about a half a cup of thinly sliced celery, a half a cup of shredded cheese. This is homemade cheese. Again, we'll get into some cheese making in the future. This is a homemade cheddar. 1/4 cup of flour, 3 tablespoons of breadcrumbs, salt and pepper to taste, and 3 large garlic cloves minced. So we're going to get these noodles boiling. They'll parboil for about 7 minutes or so until they're al dente, and we'll get everything else started over here on the stove. So come with me to the stove. We'll get started. So we have our noodles in the water. This is salted water boiling. Again, they're going to go for about 7 minutes. And we've got some butter, about 2 ounces, 2 tablespoons, sorry, of butter in the pan. In with this butter will go our onions and our celery so we can get these to soften a bit and break down. So this adds a little bit of base to the flavor. Again, we're going to let these things cook down a little bit before we add our garlic. As normal, we don't want to put the garlic in at the beginning because the garlic will burn in the time it takes the onion to become translucent. So we're only going to let these cook for about 4 or 5 minutes. We'll stir them around a little bit. And then we'll add our mushrooms and our garlic. Okay, so it's been about 3 minutes on our onions, and our pasta, our noodles are done. So we'll turn those off and we'll get those drained in just a minute. So now we're going to add our mushrooms and our garlic. So what we want to do now is we really want to just kind of sweat out these mushrooms. Get them cooked down a little bit, get most of the liquid sweat out of them. And that's going to take maybe 4 or 5 minutes total. We're on medium-high heat here. And while these are cooking, I'll show you a little trick when it comes to draining pasta. So come over and join me at the sink. So quite often when you have pasta to drain, you'll take a colander, put it in the sink, and pour the pasta through it. But there's a much easier way. You simply set the colander in the top of the pot, and you strain it right through the colander. Just like that. Leave a little pasta water in there, which is always good. And we're going to use this a little bit later. So we'll just transfer it over into a little bowl. And we'll head back over to the stove. So our mushrooms are smelling really nice. And as you can see, they're reducing. The onions are certainly translucent. And we've got these down to about the texture we're looking for. So at this point, we're just going to set them aside, slip them off the heat, set them aside, and we're going to change to our gorgeous cast Dutch oven. Here we're gonna add some more butter. We're saving now, reserving just about 2 tablespoons for later. So we'll get this butter melted in our pan. Once again, I want to thank the folks at Muriel for this gorgeous ceramic cast iron Dutch oven. I really love it. I did a recipe the other day in it, and I will continue to do so. It is a very, very nice pan. So into this butter, we're going to add our 1/4 cup of flour, and we're just making a roux. Again, we cook this just for about a minute to cook off that flour taste. We don't want the flour taste in here. And now we're going to add in our 2 cups of milk. You can use half and half. I wouldn't use all heavy cream. I suppose you could if you wanted to, but I prefer a lighter sauce for this. And actually I'm going to switch to a whisk. Just to better incorporate that roux into this milk. I like that. And at this point, we are also going to add some salt, a couple healthy pinches of salt, and a healthy pinch or 2 of pepper. We've preheated our oven to 375 degrees, and as this comes back to a boil and starts to thicken, we'll add the rest of our ingredients back into the pot. It's a very simple recipe and significantly better than what your mother used to make. Sorry, Mom. My mother was an awful cook. I know I've said this before. She meant well, but she never really managed to cook much that was edible. She made a tuna noodle casserole by dumping a can of Campbell's cream of mushroom soup, a can of tuna fish, always skimpy on the tuna fish, into a casserole dish, stirred in the noodles, threw it in the oven, sprinkled a little cheese on it, and that was tuna noodle casserole. You'll find this much, much nicer version. So as always, and when we're thickening our base stock, what we're looking for is we're looking for it to coat the back of a spoon. In this case, I've got some sticking to the bottom. But we want it to coat the back of a spoon. This is the great consistency. So now we'll add in the rest of our ingredients. So into the pot goes our peas. We can actually turn that heat off. Our corn. Mix that all in. Our flaked, drained tuna. Again, this is 15 ounces. You know, you can use 2 of the 7-ounce cans or 3 of the 5-ounce cans. Just use tuna packed in water. Don't use the tuna packed in oil. And make sure you drain it. Now in will go our previously cooked onion, mushroom, celery, garlic mixture. So we'll get that into the pan. And then last, here we will add our noodles. And we'll give this a good mix. Oh, one jumped out. You can do this with chicken. Canned chicken works really, really well if you don't want to use tuna. I've seen people add other vegetables. Carrots are quite popular. I think the corn and the peas are really a great combination in this dish. Again, we're using frozen peas so they don't turn to mush while we stir. And at this point, I'm also going to add another pinch of salt and pepper. And we're going to slide this over off the heat. Now, the reason we're coming off the heat with it is we're going to take advantage of this residual heat on this burner to mix together our breadcrumbs with our butter. Now, we could have melted the butter in the microwave and done this all in one step, but this works pretty well. We're just going to coat these breadcrumbs in this butter, and then they will go on to the top of our tuna noodle casserole. So now we have our breadcrumb mixture, and we're just going to kind of sprinkle this over the top. Getting it, even, but we're not really worried about, we're too worried about being too even here. Just kind of want to get it spread out on the top. And now the last step is to add our shredded cheese. Now, don't buy pre-shredded cheese. Pre-shredded cheese is, although it's convenient, it's got cornstarch and other things in it to keep it from clumping together. Just grate your own. Just takes a minute. You don't have to make your cheese from scratch. I love making cheese. But please don't buy the pre-shredded cheese. Okay, so there we are, ready for the oven. Now we will go into a 375 degree preheated oven, which we happen to have right here, for about 25 minutes, and then we will be finished. So we'll see you back here in 25 minutes. So here we are. It's been in the oven 25 minutes. Smells wonderful. And I am going to eat well tonight. So we'll be scooping up a little bit of this in just a minute. So this is, again, not your mother's tuna noodle casserole. I hope you've enjoyed this recipe, and please do make it. It's very simple and really, really delicious. If you've enjoyed this, please subscribe, hit the little bell, share with your friends, help me grow the channel. And until next time, this has been Tim Can Cook. Smells so good. Turn that camera off, huh?